Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking a first look at the Flydigi Shadow Stinger. This is a gaming accessory for smartphones, works with any universal device, whether it's iOS or Android. This can make the gameplay experience a little bit more tactile and adds a physical key that you can click on to control various things. The interesting thing here is it doesn't connect using Bluetooth, so it won't be detected as a cheat or anything in terms of supporting games. It's universal because it's just a capacitive sensor, kind of like using a stylus. Basically, it touches the side of your screen and then it's conductive. It uses mechanical blue switches for the buttons, which feel very kind of tactile and clicky. You tap on the control once, it can trigger up to 8 different firing shots sequentially, so you don't have to tap as many times. Kind of interesting. And then there's left and right sides, which are dedicated, that you can put onto the 2 different ends of your phone. You can pick up just one of them if you want to. And then inside of the packaging here, we have just the controller in addition to a charging cable. It uses micro USB, and that's it. The instruction manual is integrated into the companion app, so you can read about more about the process from there. This is what the left side looks like. And I've already taken out the right side, which is identical, just flipped in terms of its orientation. The entire thing is constructed out of a polycarbonate plastic with some soft touch rubber accents inside that can hold the phone into place, and there's a lever here that can expand to fit the phone and provide some extra resistance. This part that touches the phone's display here also is what triggers the key depending on the game that you're using. So you want to put this onto the space that's on the virtual button of the game that can trigger different actions like shooting, for instance. And this part is capacitive, and again, there's a electric impulse that will be sent through this tip that kind of simulates the experience of your finger touching the display. There's 2 different modes on the top, and if I tap on one of the keys here, you'll see there's also a small LED light that will flash to tell you that you're pressing the key correctly or not. Again, it is very tactile and responsive and feels very springy and nice. There's also the record key on the back there for customizing things, and another second key on the bottom here. When you're holding it in your hand, it does feel pretty comfortable and ergonomic. What's interesting here is in order to charge it, you can pull the 2 tabs apart, and after pulling it apart, you'll reveal the micro USB port that you can use to charge the battery. And otherwise, the second part here doesn't have any built-in battery. You just plug it in to activate the secondary control, but if your game only requires 1 key, you can basically simplify things by removing the second part. So everything is really modular. Here's what the phone looks like on the back once you have the 2 Shadow Stingers attached onto the left and right sides. Again, pretty comfortable and makes it a lot more ergonomic to hold the phone for longer gaming sessions. Back in the Flydigi application, we can find the corresponding device to connect to. Again, some of their other controllers are a bit more conventional and require Bluetooth, but our Shadow Stinger does not, and it will give us a tutorial for things like how to change the various settings and testing out the functionality. So if we want to tap on the test, we can see if our kind of area here is touching this portion of the display, and if I tap on the control there on the back, you can see the corresponding area here will light up, and the LED light will also be lit. So it will tap and tell us how many times we've touched it if it's been recognized correctly. The latency is very low and works quite well, especially if your phone has a flat display. If the screen is slightly curved, that could be a little bit trickier sometimes with some more accidental touches, but typically it works without any issues. Same thing goes on the other side, working quite well with no real complaints in terms of the sensitivity. As far as how many clicks each tap corresponds to, so if you want to fire kind of 8 shots at once, you can customize it here, and it goes up to 31. So tapping once can trigger kind of 31 gunshots sequentially. So you can customize anything between 2 to 31. Alright, so we've loaded up PUBG here. Let's tap on the start just by tapping on the trigger key, and it's recognized. So under the game settings, what you'll want to do though is move the controls and kind of remap them so the trigger is properly aligned to the place where the control pad is fitting onto the display. So you want to kind of move that over here. These 2 controls properly align, and we can tap on the kind of control pad here, and it's doing those corresponding actions without any issues. Right now, by default, I have it to only trigger once when I tap on it, so just acting like a traditional gamepad. But again, if you want to reprogram it, you can do it so each tap will hit maybe 8 times or 31 times sequentially, which is pretty ridiculous, but works quite well. Feels comfortable when holding it, and the gameplay experience, again, can definitely be improved. You don't have to reach as much with your thumb. Now, by the way, that's tapping on the two top shoulder keys is doing the things like hitting and firing. The two bottom keys, which are in the down below here, are meant for touching this second area here of the display, but right now we don't have it mapped to do anything. So if I tap on the bottom portion of the gamepad, you'll see it shows up as empty, but you can program up to 4 different regions on the screen to do 4 different actions if you have both the left and right sides. Some things to keep in mind is it does still obstruct a part of the display since it needs to kind of touch that area in order for it to be in contact. So obviously after you're done playing that game, you have to still remove these controls because otherwise it obstructs your display if you're doing things like watching back a video. But overall the process is still simple enough to pop in and pop out. So that's more or less it for our hands-on look at the Flydigi Shadow Stinger, a pretty neat little accessory if you're into action-based games and you want to make it a more mechanical feeling when you're tapping on hitting something or firing a shot. It's pretty easy to customize and set up, and surprisingly responsive for the technology that it's using. Again, not using Bluetooth, and very lightweight and adjustable. So if you want something like this, you can check out more details in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.